record.
I'm closing things because I feel like my Wi-Fi isn't that good.
We're gonna admit
one hair sticking out. Like, what is happening here?
You know, it's your personality. It's like, hey, you know, keep
Getting wild.
Honestly, I think today's virtual coffee session could be about hair because it is just talk about a different root cause right now.
A different
like
root cause is
hair. Yes. Woo!
I see what you did there.
Yes. Yes.
root cause.
Ashley.
Oh yeah. And I don't dye my hair, but I get the gray coming in. You know, you're like, oh, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Nice to see all these faces. I'm gonna give another minute for folks to hop on and
Good morning.
You guys are in for a special treat this morning. We are very loopy, little silly.
Looped out, walking.
Yeah.
Getting the juices flowing.
I might take a Karen move and like just start like, hold on.
You know,
while we're chatting. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, if only I had my leg warmers. Oh.
Well, good morning, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Karen Herb. I am a CNS nutritionist. I am also the co-founder of Gateway FX Med, developing practice tools to support other functional nutritionists and practitioners. And I'm here with some of my favorite colleagues, including all of you that I've been meeting on this group. And we are excited today to jump into another really juicy topic. It's not going to be hair, Ashley. But we can toss that in, like, as it applies, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way to bring it in. I'm going to find a way.
Supplements keep your hair from turning gray. Like, yes. Here we go.
Yes,
yeah.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk supplements today, but I will let my co-host say hello. Lara, why don't you kick it off? Because I think you're right next to me on the screen there.
I am. Thank you. Hi, my name is Lara. For those of you that I haven't met yet, welcome. I am a pharmacist and a clinical nutritionist. I have been practicing virtually for quite a while, at least in the field of nutrition. I've been doing nutrition consults for about 5 years, 100% virtually. And I also do some professional education, mentorship. I do pharmacy mentorship and education. And I am been using and or recommending supplements for, I don't know, like 100 years now. It's sort of been part of my pharmacy practice for as long as I can remember. There's always been somebody that wants the thing to make their hair grow or for more energy or for sleep or insert reason here. And, you know, the only thing that's changed for me is that because I'm virtual, I don't have a shelf to walk over to show somebody the supplement that I would like to give them. And yeah, I have a supplement graveyard next to me, and that's actually how I show people things. So I have empty bottles next to me. I go, so like this, for example, and then we talk about it. But I will pass it on. With that note, I will pass it on to Ashley.
Hello, everyone. So I am Ashley Koff. I'm a registered dietitian. Before I was a registered dietitian, so 22 years ago, actually 24 years ago, because I had another little stint in there before becoming a dietitian, but I was helping America's leading companies market things like their sugared cereals. So I helped create Smart Start and Raisin Bran Crunch and De Beers Diamonds marketing. We weren't allowed to do business in the US, so we had to go to Bermuda, which was really fun. And Clairol, and I bring that up because first of all, mea culpa, I did a really good job. And so a lot of people think a lot of sugar for breakfast is the better way to get energy. But one of the other reasons is that I learned very early on about marketing messages and what goes on labels, how you could at the time purchase the American Heart Association logo and just put it on whatever product you wanted as long as it didn't have a lot of fat, because obviously fat's what's bad for our hearts. So I think that experience for me really helped me very early on. When I started my practice, I was out in Los Angeles, and in LA, people don't eat, they take supplements instead. And so they'd walk into my office and just like drop bags and be like, here's what I had today. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So banana? Like, like let's figure that out. And what I realized is it wasn't enough to say like, take this fish oil, or for me, like to spend 30 minutes going through on Amazon or wherever and grabbing the link and saying like, hey, I want you to buy this. Because as soon as they left my office, if they passed by a vitamin shop, or if a friend of theirs, more today, but if a friend of theirs was selling a supplement or anything else, it was like, if their trainer recommended something, suddenly they were purchasing and using something that was not the ingredient that I wanted them to take. So I sort of became known as the supplement whisperer with a lot of the doctors, and that was a huge referral part of my business, still is, in terms of that piece. So I'm super excited about this conversation because I think there is a massive competitive advantage, whether you are somebody who is creating and making supplement recommendations, or wanting to evaluate somebody's total nutrition and understand if part of their nutrition, where they're getting nutrients in, is from supplements. And then the business, as we're going to talk about, the diversification of your business by having different revenue sources and marketing sources. So yeah, I'm excited. I'd love to just like quickly run around. Are there any questions immediately that come up about supplements, supplement sales?
Yeah.
Would love to hear that off the bat because yeah, and as Karen said, as much as I love Amazon, we need to be very careful. There has never been a more important time to be very clear about where your patient or yourself are sourcing your supplements, because especially as things become more scarce, where you're getting things from is really, an issue on that part. Oh, what do you mean by this, Chris? Thanks. What do you mean by the supplement whisperer? So I was joking about myself, but when I had my practice, I was based in LA, but I had patients across the country, and a lot of doctors would just literally refer their patient and be like, so my doctor told me to come to you because I'm taking supplements, and you're going to figure out if it's okay or not, right? So that really was my job in terms of figuring out, let's look at your total nutrition, and then let's figure out your supplements in there. And good morning, Chris from California.
So I actually, I don't want to get into, this could be a rabbit hole for sure, and I don't want to necessarily get into the ins and outs of supplement safety, and you bring up a great point about the safety coming from Amazon, and supplement quality could be like its own like 1 month series, frankly. But I do want to highlight what you just said, Ashley, which is, you want to be that authority, right? If somebody's going to walk in and is going to plop some supplements in front of you, you want to be able to direction them, and you need the correct information to do that. And then you need to have an alternative or a resource that's just as easy. So if they're plopping on Amazon and they're ordering something, they're probably going to reorder it from there because it's habit. Amazon has gotten into all our lives in multiple angles. And so it's really hard to break those habits and shift them over. So you have to have a really compelling reason, and you have to also make it super easy for them. And I think what I see happen a lot of times is the supplement becomes the main star of the show, right? I see practitioners selling supplements. We could talk about private labeling if we want to, but I see sort of the supplement being like, this is the supplement, this is the thing. And I kind of don't agree with that. I don't want ever the thing that I sell to be the important part. You're all practitioners and clinicians. Like, you and what's in your brain and what you know about that supplement and how you can then guide them to not over rely on the supplements, I think still remains the main focus. So it's sort of a balancing act between giving the right information, guiding and clarifying, and then at the same time making it easy for them to take the right supplement at the right time from the right, with the right quality.
Right.
I'd love to piggyback on that one because not everything you just said, so genius, and then add on top of it, so genius, let's just stop there, so genius, yay, and then add on top of it, high ponytail win, but add on top of that what we as practitioners are wanting to do is to remind people that their health is never static, it's dynamic. So you're changing, your body's needs are changing. There are 3 reasons that I will tell people to use a supplement. 1 is if there are gaps in your diet and we know that we need to get those nutrients in. 2, if we're trying to replenish nutrient stores. And 3, if there's a therapeutic use. Well, in all of those cases, those aren't like conditions that are going to exist for your life. And so what it actually does when you start to have conversations about supplements with them is it actually allows you, because supplements are usually sold in like maybe a 30 or a 60 day, or you can actually manage, let's do this for 90 days. And about 45 or 50 of the days in, we're going to reassess where you are and then figure out, or maybe the 60th day, we're going to reevaluate and then go from there. And so when you're talking about, it's why like I hate the subscribe and save model. And I actually speak pretty boldly to my clients about it, which is, there might be something that I know I'm going to have you on for a year. Okay, bifidobacteria, I just know I'm going to have you on that. But like hypothetically, but what I don't want to do is just say like subscribe and save. What I actually want to do is subscribe to me, and I'm going to save you money, and I'm going to help us target your nutrition and make sure that every 30, 90, 120 days, whatever, we're going to do a supplement check-in. And what that does for so many of us is it also helps us with that recurrent business. So where the supplement isn't the hero, if their mindset, if it takes them to remember about something, like they may not remember, oh, it's been 30 days that I've been eating this nutrient balanced way and doing these, no. But if my bottle is getting close to empty, I have a visual that I can say, oh, you know what? I need to check in with Ashley. And that allows us from a business modeling standpoint to not be about supplement sales. It's about our relationship and connection there.
Okay, so I love to set an agenda.
Mm.
So just so I set my agenda for today, it sounds like what we want to talk about is overall the general topic is talking about using supplements as a revenue builder, but not as the main star of the show. Two, I think we should talk about ways to get those supplements to people. There's different models to do it, and depending on your setting and your specialty, that might vary. And then three, what I'd love to do is walk out of here with like some solid ways to both market and have that conversation. So whether if you're using it on your platform to talk about the supplements you're recommending, or you're doing consults in order to recommend supplements, or you're weaving the conversation about supplement into your sessions, what are those conversations look like? What do those questions look like? How are you making those decisions? Sound good?
I love
Did I
it.
miss
And
anything?
on number 3, I will just go ahead and say, if you're using any Better Nutrition assessment tool, it's always going to be asking about supplements or factoring in the supplements, because in our magnesium evaluation, our calcium, our eye health evaluation, which is awesome because it's also, cognitive function, we're always asking about supplements, because we have to remember today, somebody's total nutrition is what's going to impact their health. So that's their foods, their supplements, like things they don't even think of as supplements, protein powders, fibers, like these powders that they're adding to the coffee, those people adding powders to the coffee and, all these things. And then also their skincare. And so when you're looking at all of that, we really want to make sure that we're factoring all those pieces in, because I had a really significant issue with a client with vitamin A. And it actually turned out that we didn't figure it out until we also added in the part of looking at the skincare, because she was taking a retinol, vitamin A, or using that product. And there's magnesium oil and baths. So I think the total nutrition piece, if we are jumping to the part 3, you actually can't help somebody get healthy powered by Better Nutrition if you're not asking about that total nutrition. IMHO in my humble opinion. Yeah.
Well, and that's what.
So actually, can we start with 3 and work backwards?
Yeah.
I'm kind of jazzed about 3.
I am too. I'm like, I want to talk. I mean, I think that's where we set ourselves apart.
Yes.
Right? It's a personalized approach. It's not like, hey, this is the protocol that I recommend for everybody in this, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. It's personalized. It needs tweaked and refined as life changes and stress comes into play, or whatever different lifestyle factors happen. And that's where you can have that continuity, right? To connect with people over and over again. But it's the way you personalize it, even if it's mildly personalized, right? Depending on what your practice model is, or like Lara mentioned, is it based on a one-on-one consult where you can really personalize it? Is it based on a program that you have them on, that their dietary approach and what might be lacking? But any level of personalization is going to bring to forefront our specialty and why they need to continue to connect with us to make sure that these things are on point. So I think making that distinction really clear in the beginning will help to facilitate that, like moving forward.
And that competitive differentiation where you have to be bold about it today. You have to say, do not take a quiz online and let somebody sell you a supplement. What I do, how I personalize, is going to be different than that, because it's not the answer when I ask you some questions, and some of those questions might be like, oh, by the way, are you vegan? Really? Because all vegans need B12 and calcium? Like, makes no sense. When you have a conversation with someone, you want to say like, hey, great to meet you, Stephanie, who also happens to be vegan and is a triathlete and it had a baby 2 years ago and doesn't like to eat chickpeas. Okay, now I'm getting somewhere, and now I know what I might need for you from a supplement standpoint. But I think you're absolutely right, as it becomes a massive competitive advantage. Yeah.
Okay. Question to both of you and to everybody, actually, and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on having a model, especially now where we're all homebound for the most part? Some of us still are first line and out working. But if you're right now really leaning into virtual, what are your thoughts about offering 10 to 15 minute supplement consultations in order to write a quote supplement prescription to personalize for people?
I love that more as a follow-up. I would have to think through how much information I could gather in 15 minutes to feel confident that I was making the right prescription. Just personally, as a follow-up, I love it. You know?
Ashley, thoughts?
Yeah, I love the idea of the quick, like, so I think it's going to depend on the patient and what the goals are. I think honestly there's going to be a bit of a fluctuation, but I think, yeah, I'm going to pause there. Yes. Like, I don't think I could lock in.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another layer of complexity to help guide this conversation. So, you know, having been a pharmacist, I was at CVS for a long time, as an independent pharmacy for a long time, and I would like to think that at least later in my career, when I got a little bit more educated about supplements, people got lucky when they asked me the question, because I can guide and steer them in the right direction. But even Lara, when she first graduated from pharmacy school, if somebody asked me a recommendation about supplements, I probably steered them to the cheapest, crappiest thing on the shelf, right? Thinking, oh, they're all the same thing. It's just expensive pee water or expensive urine, right? Like that was just sort of like the thinking that I got out of there. There are thousands, if not more, of practitioners like me that I was, that are making these recommendations. Even worse now, there are tons of commercials and people are being steered in the direction of ordering not the right thing. So would we be offering a disservice by not giving, even if it was a quick 10, 15 minutes, not perfect, it's not ideal, but giving some guidance in terms of what's a better idea? And you could put boundaries around it. Like you can say, this is only meant to do X, Y, Z. Do you have a question about how to support your immune system? Are you having trouble sleeping? Is the anxiety right now that you're experiencing? Would you like to find a natural way, an alternative to support that? You know, those kinds of, you know, you can sort of direction the 15 minutes so it doesn't go too crazy. But yeah, I feel like it's almost necessary. I'm going to argue that it's necessary to have something.
Yeah, I could totally see framing it sort of like a maximizing your supplements so that you can have a conversation about quality and, you know, proper ingredients in the formulation of different vitamins. Like that I could see would at least to me feel more authentic in the way I could deliver it, as opposed to, you know, without a complete background of somebody. And that isn't a really important
and Frank makes that point, actually. Frank makes that exactly your point in the conversation, that it's hard to run through the supplements without getting their dietary background. But could this open the door to potentially scheduling with them a review?
Absolutely.
Could it start the conversation and then you say, you know what, to really get a better perspective, here are my initial thoughts, but to get a better perspective, let's sit down for a 30 or a 60 or whatever it is that you need to then funnel them into.
Yeah, and I think like it's the number one, or I would say it's very high on the list of one of the selling points for my programs. So my programs all say that, you know, we'll do a personalized total nutrition assessment, and coming out of it, you're going to have a personalized supplement recommendation. You're also going to have discounts on the high quality supplements and a renewal process, like that, a refresher process. I think when you spell it out like that, people get really engaged, because what they understand is you're problem solving for them, not just today, but moving forward. And you're making that when you talk about it the personalized way, it's like opening the door for, you may not need supplements if you change some of this food, or I may change what you're doing and I'm going to lower your price, your costs associated with your supplements. And so it's also going to be a financial win, so I think being able to have that conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Bella actually had a great question. She goes, what about liability risks associated with making a recommendation?
Yeah.
I have some thoughts. I'm going to let you guys chime in on that.
I think we had this conversation a bit the other day, and this is definitely going to be in the virtual business school in a big way, especially tomorrow night, because we have a lawyer with us tomorrow night, and she's a rock star, holistic lawyer, like done. By the way, never ask a lawyer a question that you don't want a lawyer's actual answer on. So that's another one to learn on that. But if you're wanting somebody to say like, hey, like beg for permission or beg for forgiveness instead of ask for permission, but it'll be a good conversation. So, I think this is a really, really important one, because in your discovery calls, even though we are not going to call them a discovery call and ask someone if they want to book a free call, we're going to talk about, do you want help with your supplements? Do you want a personalized total nutrition recommendation? Do you want me to assess your magnesium? We're going to go with those things. When you're doing that, you actually, in the free time period, you really don't want to be, depending on your license, but I will say as a dietitian, you don't want to be providing medical nutrition therapy there. That's just a risky spot. However, there is a very big difference between that and saying to someone, one of the things that I see on here, like let's say you did our magnesium evaluation, I see that you're taking magnesium oxide and that you've also got a higher amount of calcium coming in, and you're not really taking in a lot of the magnesium foods. When we develop your personalized recommendation to help your body respond to stress better, I'm actually going to play with your supplements, because there are some forms of magnesium that aren't as well absorbed, and there might even be a difference between a tablet and a powder for you and when you take it. So if you want, we could actually schedule that, and that would be like part of our first session. Of course, I'm going to also go through your foods and things like that. So if you have the conversation that way, I didn't just provide you medical nutrition therapy. If I said to you, you know what, your supplement that has magnesium oxide in it, get rid of it. I want to upgrade to this one, and you should probably take it 3 times a day, or move to the powder that you take before bed. For me, I've actually provided medical nutrition therapy without the rest of the information about you. Is it the most dangerous thing out there? No. Is it something I think you should be doing? Absolutely not, because you're also giving away too much free. You're undercutting the whole idea of what it takes to develop a personalized recommendation. A supplement company online could do what I just said in the last scenario. In the first scenario, a supplement company can't do that online.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good
Karen, thoughts on that, since you're our resident paralegal?
Well, and I would say, if you were going to do a different model and charge for that appointment, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever you want to do, then yes, I would absolutely have them. If it's a paid session, they're going to sign a waiver, scope of practice, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's just
So free sessions, if you're doing a free 15, you think that's safe enough to do with the parameters that Ashley just brilliantly outlined?
Yes.
But if they're going to pay for that session, that's when the waiver comes into play.
That yes, for me, for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bella, so Bella's a pharmacist as well as a health coach, and so Bella, how often do you give advice as a pharmacist? Like all damn day, shouting it over the counter, like on the phone, you have no idea who the hell you're talking to. You know what I mean? Like we do that all day. So my stance on it has always been with supplement recommendations, if it's not part of the for lack of a better descriptor, if it's not part of my therapeutic intervention, and if it's just a recommendation, I'm very careful about the language that I use when I make those recommendations. This should help with motility. This should help with sleep. This helps this process does XYZ in the cell, and therefore that should improve your blah, 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 right? Like, so if I'm going to recommend 5-HTP to somebody, of course I'm going to check and say, what medications are you on to avoid giving them 5-HTP if they're on an SSRI. Where in my practice, if I've got a patient in my practice, I might feel safer even giving them together because I can monitor them. If I can't monitor them, I'm not even making a statement out loud, right? So if I say they're not on any medication, I notice they've got a touch of depression and maybe they're not sleeping well, and I want to suggest, hey, 5-HTP, which is probably not the best recommendation to make in a 15-minute, but let's just pretend they ask me about it. Should I be taking 5-HTP? Then I might say something like, well, 5-HTP is a precursor to both serotonin and melatonin, so taking 5-HTP might be a really smart way to improve both those neurotransmitters, which is going to help with mood and with sleep, as long as your body converts it correctly. I'm removing myself from making the recommendation of saying 5-HTP is good for your sleep and your mood. And what I'm saying is a factual statement from a book that these are in fact precursors, and these in fact should help when your neurotransmitters are elevated, should in fact help your mood and your sleep. But I'm not making a claim that that is going to be what helps you. And to that point, I might then flip that around and say, in addition to that, we might want to explore other things that might improve your sleep. We might want to talk about your sleep hygiene and, of course, your diet, because fluctuations in blood sugar, for example, might alter your ability to sleep well or might cause you to have changes in your mood. So I can flip then the conversation and then start to plant the seed that perhaps a deeper dive is warranted. And then that's where, you know, we might want to spend some time in a paid consult.
Yeah. One of the things that I find like tricky and is always a part of my waiver is that they're going to disclose everything to me when we have those conversations. You know what I mean? Because that is where that could be slippery.
We've
They
had this
represent
conversation before.
Yeah, but when they represent they're not taking anything, but they are in fact taking something, you know what I mean? That's when I really want that disclosure that, you know, they've agreed to that. And
so if only there was a way to assess their needs in advance of that session, like a tool that they could fill out that tells you where their nutritional needs are and where you might want to steer that conversation. Ashley, is there a tool like that out there?
There's about 100. Like all joking aside, right? I think that, you know, why I created my company, which was never intended to be a company, it's because as a practitioner, I was sitting there and I was like, I need this to happen. And I also need it to happen easily, efficiently. And oh, by the way, if it happens when they're at home and they're pulling all this together, they're going to understand how I work and that I work differently. And then I'll have that information before we do the session. So our shop of tools are based around about 25 evaluations, and those evaluations, whether it's digestive or, you know, as we've talked about added sugar evaluation. I had a client just recently who was taking 7 different gummies because he wanted to get in all the different nutrients. Didn't know about a gummy that was one gummy as a multi, and the gummy was, by the way, horrible. Like it was just, you know, like the first 4 ingredients were like sugar, corn syrup, something else and something else, right? So it was so easy for me there to have that conversation once he was a client that, hey, like, I'm not even going to talk to you about to gummy or not gummy, but I'm going to easily reduce the amount of sugar that we're taking in and also highly improve the amount of nutrients we're taking in by just being able to make that exchange. And I wouldn't have known that information if I hadn't had him do the added sugar evaluation. I would have known that information if I'd had him, even without him doing the added sugar evaluation. But when he did it at home, it was a show versus tell. He was like, holy smokes, here I am worried about the ice cream that I have. And look at this, like, I had no idea. There's 8 grams of sugar in this one. There's 4 grams in this one. He's like, before I've even eaten any food, I've blown it out my budget on that part. So our tools are extremely helpful for doing that and completely intended to help practitioners be able to do it that way.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up because there are ways to sort of curb that conversation, Karen, and like create those boundaries. And honestly, it comes down to practice and just how often you are having that conversation and how good you've gotten at sort of steering it back on track. When it starts to go in another direction, you can steer it back on track, or just knowing how to pull out the most relevant information. Like my 5-HTP example, the most relevant thing, like I don't need to necessarily know everything about their background, but I do need to know their SSRI history, right? I do need to know their depression history or their insomnia history. So I might just ask very targeted questions about those. And then we're all trained to ask open-ended questions and, you know, sort of gauge from that encounter. You know, you are always able to, as a professional, if you are in a situation where you did that 15 and you promised that you'd give a supplement evaluation, you can always say, you know, honestly, it sounds like there's a lot happening here. And I think so that we could do this safely and effectively, we're going to need to carve out more time. So I think it's in our best interest to spend more time together so I could get a more thorough evaluation.
There's
I don't think I've
nugget,
ever, in
right?
like my 20 or more years of being in this field, I've never had a person once get mad at me for wanting more information or for wanting to carve out more time with them. Like that's never happened. And if they don't want to pay for it, well, they're probably not going to buy anything from you anyway. And if they don't have the time, well, they're not prioritizing their health. And so it's sort of, you're going to naturally weed out to a person who could potentially convert into a client, a paying client.
Yeah, and I think there's like a nugget piece to it too. And I want to pick up on what Frank is saying too, where he's saying, we'll get to your question, Alma, but you know, we don't want to present a supplement as a magic pill, and we're all in that space. You know, so for example, I'll talk about magnesium and how it helps the body turn off the stress response. And I'll talk about the fact that it's found in all these whole grains. Oh, you don't eat whole grains? Okay, what about nuts and seeds? Okay, what about chocolate? Like, you know, we can go through that part. But then there's the additional piece of, you know what else does it? And you don't have to actually put anything in your mouth. You actually breathe, and the 4-7-8 breath. And let me go ahead and demonstrate that. So you'll see in all my protocols that we have like all of those pieces. But it is really important to identify some information initially. So without, like, this is not a commercial for my tools. I will explain why I do this. What you were saying before is the ability for me to have a 15-minute call with somebody where I can be very actionable on this is if they have filled out that evaluation ahead of time, it's asked them to check boxes about their health, asked in an unbiased way, and it's asked that it's looked at their food, it's looked at their supplements and their skincare, and then in 15 minutes I can pop in. I already know 2 things that I know are going to be wins for them, and so in that 15-minute conversation I can explain the way that I did in the example before with the magnesium, just what I'm going to want to do with you. And then what I can turn around and say is, hey, like, do you want to do this? Well, maybe I'll book a call and whatever. Absolutely. And so here's what I'm going to say is, even if you don't book a call with me, what you do want to understand is that if you take one of these actions, just buying a supplement or just changing what you eat, you actually aren't going to get the results I was just talking about. It's multifactorial. It needs to be implemented. And like none of this works if your digestion isn't better. We haven't even had time to get into that part, right? When you lead it like that, then somebody's saying, she's actually going to go deeper than anyone that I've worked with before. And it's going to be this collaboration of me sharing who and what I am, and then us, you know, figuring out that better recommendation. So I think part of the struggle of having the 15-minute conversation is, and the struggle is real. If you just have people signing up for a 15-minute conversation, you got to start off with like, is it sunny out today? Where do you live? Like, just a couple of quick questions. You know, are you on your 2nd or your 3rd child? Like, do you have stress in your life? You know, it's like, you can't use a 15-minute call to ask a lot of those questions and really be, in my mind, really be able to keep it to 15 minutes and then, you know, sell them on that part.
Absolutely.
I think to Frank's point, sorry, Lara.
No, go for it.
This was a struggle for me too. It felt very inauthentic to me when I was starting to push supplements or to even think about making money on supplements. It just didn't feel natural at first. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, like, I'm talking food first. We're coming up with protocols. I'm saying there's a handful of things that you could use right now. Maybe, you know, we don't need to do them forever, but, you know, it's the way that you have that conversation. And the beauty of it is, you know, I get people like, oh, I do need this multivitamin because I'm just not going to do what Karen says and eat as many vegetables as she recommends, whatever. And then they just keep ordering it. Right. And so there's just this residual income because I've connected them with a really high quality supplement. It's made a difference for them because it is filling a gap. We can have that continued conversation, but I do think you're right. Like, we have to kind of establish our authority and what we're providing first and do it in a very authentic kind of way to make it not feel salesy. And it took me a bit of time to do that myself, you know, to find out how to do that.
So to piggyback off of that, so we've been talking over this last month about this concept of, one, marketing authentically, and two, creating a funnel, creating a way for people to get to know you that slowly sort of walks them step by step from this, very superficial understanding of who you are and what you do, all the way through to getting to know who you are and deciding that they want to work more closely with you in whatever service that you provide. So that, I think, to me, is starting to shape up. We talk about giving something first, showing value in the very beginning. That's sort of you're disseminating information, you're teaching, you're telling people, you're giving some guidance. And I think that's where having some sort of tool, having some sort of thing, and we talked a little bit about this last week, having something that shows people their knowledge gap, or shows people the gap that they have created for themselves, in this case, nutritionally, as step one. And a questionnaire, a quiz, a tool that they can use to sort of pull together and arrive to the conclusion of, holy crap, I eat a lot of sugar. Oh my God, I didn't realize that this is why I need magnesium, XYZ. Like, having people sort of recognize themselves in what you're presenting to them, and going, my God, that's exactly how I feel. I am tired all the time. My, blah, blah, blah is happening. Maybe I need XYZ. Maybe I'm deficient in XYZ nutrient. That's sort of step one in the funnel. Step two then is to try to direction them and to solve the problem for them, to show yourself as the expert that you were able to solve that problem. So to me, why not funnel that into a supplement? It's a quick win. No, it's not going to solve all the problems. Yes, you'll have to address nutrient absorption and digestion, and whether or not they're, watching the news on their phone right before they go to bed, all those other lifestyle pieces. They're not exercising, yada, yada, yada. Yes, we have to address all those pieces. But if you can get that early quick win right in the beginning, you spent 15 minutes, you made a couple of bucks, you sort of, you monetized your time with that person, and then they take the supplement, they feel great. Well, guess what? Now all those seeds that you planted, why am I deficient in XYZ? Why is this not enough? What other things do I need to look at my diet? Then they think of you for the next step, which is, that's when you might offer them the consult and say, listen, when you're ready, let's come back, let's spend 60 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever your initial looks like, whatever your next step looks like. If you have a program, you might want to look at this program. Hey, I sell menu plans. If you want to look at those menu plans and see if you want to implement whatever that next step is, give them another step to continue working with you, because you've just earned their respect. They're a fan for life.
Mm-hmm.
They're a fan for life. So now how do you funnel that to the next piece?
Well, and there's one in between in there. You said something I think really important too, which is, hey, they took the supplement and they feel better. Well, so you aren't going to know that. Like, one of the reasons that we do the assessment at the beginning, and then we build in a reassessment, and also we manage expectations. Some of this comes with practice, and some of this comes with using the right tools. Where if I say to somebody, hey, right now I see that you're about 200 milligrams of magnesium based on your evaluation in terms of what you get in from a food standpoint more often, we're going to try to bump you up to 400. I want us to try that for 2 weeks. I want you to either each week answer these couple of questions, or 2 weeks from now, your assignment, and by the way, if you use like Practice Better or you use Healthy, you're going to ping them. Hey, do the magnesium evaluation again. I want to see what you're getting in and how you're feeling. And I may have attached the magnesium menu as well, because maybe they're not eating the same thing every day. Maybe they're like, oh, I just want a bunch of options that are 100 milligram options, because I know that I have to slate that in each day in addition to the supplement. Or the days that I don't get this in, I'm going to add the supplement, whatever my recommendations are. So what you don't want to do is wait, because if you wait, the person's going to be thinking, like, especially with a probiotic, a lot of times it's preventative health. Well, you know what that's like right now? That's like waiting to know when shelter from home is going to end. We have no idea. Like, you're not in control of that. It's like you're only healthy until you're not on that part, right? So how do you even know that the probiotic is working? So the responsibility actually is for you to manage. That's why I love road mapping, is to manage the expectation of the client as you're doing this. And whether you're using FullScript, I don't know the Wellevate platform that well. pun intended. Well, but I do know when I do it in Fullscript is that I will send I note everything, and that's how I send my calendar for that particular patient to say, and I might be saying like, hey, I want to notice if you feel 50% less bloated, 62% less bloated. I actually get pretty specific. I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want to see if we move from 4 to a 5, like that kind of thing more often. And oh, by the way, if you have your period in this time period, I can't count that because that's like a superhuman another thing that's going on, right? You've got to like make sure that we're addressing that piece, because otherwise we're undoing all the good that we did at the beginning with the way that we market. And now we're making the supplement, to Larry's point when we started off today, the hero of this, as opposed to you're the hero, the client is the hero for all the things that they're implementing, you know, in totality on that part. So it's really important that you have built in an assessment when you're providing a supplement recommendation, and you understand and can talk to somebody about what they should be measuring. Are they going to look at their skin being different? Are they going to notice that they don't have the kind of reflux they used to? Are they going to notice when they have coffee and wine that it doesn't bother, you know, they don't feel as badly the next morning? Like whatever it is that we're doing on that part, you have to make sure you're building in that measurement with the sharing of the supplement recommendation.
Can I share with you my favorite phrase of all time that you just basically alluded to?
Yes.
Ready?
We're waiting.
Ready? The riches are in the niches, but the fortune is in the follow-up. In other words,
Yeah.
you can make a little bit of money on that initial interaction, but that follow-up is where, one, you make that person feel heard and remembered, and two, where you could potentially open the door for future consulting, future work, and potentially, you know, refills on the supplements. Although I feel like the refills on the supplements, yes, that could be a nice revenue, but I sort of want to move our thinking into how this could open the door to more client work or
Yes.
whatever it is that your model looks like.
Yes.
And have the revenue be just a nice monthly average that you can make on the side. So it's a nice thing to float you, but I want it to be really a portal and a funnel to doing the work that you really love doing. Now, you might really love making supplement recommendations. That might be your jam, and I don't want to take that away from you. But if you are offering one-on-one consultations, programs, groups, whatever it is that you're doing, you want that to be the door to open in that, towards that direction.
Yes. Yeah. And the door to the recurring, like bringing people back, like, which I think is like, to me, it's never a win to like get a client, all the money and time and resources we spend to get one client. It's so much better to then work with them lifelong rather than to like just invest consistently in getting new clients. And so to me, what you're talking about is also like, how do you build that? And I am going to argue, like, even if it is your jam to create supplement recommendations, honestly, if that's your jam, you might want to work for a supplement company, because your jam here, being very serious, your jam here should be helping people get better results, like helping them get and stay healthy. And what we have to do in that part is recognize, again, that part of the nutrition options that we have today are in the supplement space. But when you are like, so for example, for me, I'm really right now not taking on clients, but when I like get forced to, because it's like an old family friend calls or, you know, something like that, I'm like, okay, so if I am going to work with you, I'm really expensive. And what I want, it's not just about my time and expensive. I am so focused on results with you that you're only going to get the results. I have to like limit all the outside facts. Like, I want to make sure you are going to buy the supplements that I want to put you on, and that we're going to be changing this and you're going to follow everything I'm telling you to do, so that the next time, you know, we're checking in, I can see how you're doing. So with that, I actually don't make any money off of supplements from those clients. You know why? I make a load of money off of those clients. And that's going to be very different than for the clients that are coming into my programs, where this is either a taster for them to come meet me for the first time, or if instead of spending $750 for an initial consult, they're getting 30 days, which is at least 4 sessions with me for $150. You know what? I'm going to charge 20% of the supplement fee there because I'm still going to offer them a discount. The way that my FullScript is set up, they're still going to get a discounted price, but I also that's going to be part of my revenue model. So I think it's really important for you to look at not just the idea of, do I make money off of supplements or not, but how am I actually using it as part of my business strategy, from a marketing standpoint, and also from a where I'm going to be going with these different, as Lara was just saying, like, where am I going to take these clients? Like, I've got an idea. I want to take somebody from a program to one of my big packages, right? So let me like go through and help manage their expectation in that part. Oh, you're showing your supplement graveyard. I was looking at that. Yeah.
Well, somebody was asking what supplement companies that we use. And actually, that's a great segue to sort of talking about now, how do you actually move that online? Like, what are you using? So a quick question to everybody out there. You could type your answer into the chat box. If you are currently recommending professional, so first of all, quick question, who's currently not using professional grade supplements like the Metagenics and the Zymogens of the world? Is anybody here not have an account with either one of those individual companies, or not using FullScript or Emerson or Wellevate or one of those platforms at this point in time? Do we need to talk about that part? Anybody a no? Okay, I'll give you guys a second to answer that. That said, what are you doing? What tools, speaking more tools, what tools are y'all using to make those recommendations? Are you in a brick and mortar and sort of grabbing them off the shelf and ordering in bulk, or are you using something to order online? Patricia's got them all covered. She's like, I got them all.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work to manage all of those, but I love it.
Well, and I'm gonna, oh, go ahead.
You have them order online. So you have your client order them online. Okay, got a FullScript. Okay, cool. And I do recommend, actually, if you have favorites, like I've got a bunch of favorites, I really recommend having a relationship with that individual company and getting an account with that individual company, because they might offer additional benefits on their own to the accounts that they manage. And your rep can then be another source of education, information. They can hook you up with certain specials that are happening. And for example, Designs for Health has like giveaways and freebies all the time. Some companies will do like specials on certain products. So if you're going, let's say you use a lot of a particular item, when it goes on special, you can order it in bulk and have it ready to go. You know, if you have a brick and mortar, that would work for you. So I really recommend actually, you know, developing an individual relationship with those companies. And so I've developed relationships with my reps from Ortho, Metagenics, Zymogen, who else? Those are IT. And those, because I happen to, first of all, really like my reps, and two, they're often a great resource for me to get a quick answer when I have a question about a specific product, or maybe an interaction or an effect.
And you know what else they are? Because these aren't hobbies for us, these are business. They're also awesome referral sources. So 90% of my business early on with supplement companies, this was ages ago, right? Because I'm ancient on that part, but was the ortho rep saying like, oh, Dr. So-and-so, do you know this rock star dietitian who's down the street and she talks to your patients about this? So if you don't even have the time with your client, she would do that. And this is something to consider in your revenue model. Do you want the patient or do you want the supplement sale? So I would refer them back to that doctor's supplement store, but I got the patient. So there are things that you want to figure out on that part where it's like, and that's also something, by the way, to be super clear with on a referral basis, because nothing is going to piss off another practitioner more than if you go start selling somebody that they refer over supplements to what they see as their client if they sell supplements. And so it's it's on one of our forms for when you're doing a referral, when you're generating a referral. How do you like to advise your patients about supplements? I have a supplement store and I have my recommendations in there and I can send the patients over there. Would you like me to offer a specific discount to your patients? If they respond, no, we actually have a supplement store and we would really appreciate if you refer our patients here and here's the link, do that. And also, by the way, follow up on a quarterly basis and find out what kind of revenue you are generating from them through their supplement store, because that is going to be a great reminder of why they should be referring patients to you. So you want to figure out in your business model that connection. And so a lot of times these supplement stores, same with Fullscript. Fullscript is fantastic about bringing all of us. They brought the three of us together, like bringing practitioners together to be like, wait, we think you guys should play together. Like there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah, totally. And now we see the same way. It's like, it's genius, you know? So I think it's really, that part is super important. I will say also, I dropped the link in here. If you have a Fullscript store, great. If you have a Fullscript store and you haven't used it, I just wanted to make sure you have this offer. With the Better Nutrition Program, we created a store that has, and there's no finances or any of this. It was just because it took me so damn long to do it. They then offered it to any healthcare practitioner. And that is, it comes fully stocked with recommendations, and it has categories based on patient goals and also programs that are offered. And it has the supplements in there. Then you go in and you edit it. But if you are just like, you know what, one of the reasons I'm not using a store or doing something like this is it takes a lot of time. Let me be very clear. It takes a lot of time. So we have a store that's ready to run for you that you could literally just put your name on that front. And that may be a way, as Lara was saying, like you want to collect your favorites. All of these others allow you to have templates and protocols in there too. If I write one recommendation for a patient, it becomes a template. You know why? I guarantee you I'm going to have another patient like that in the future. So that's also a way for you to generate efficiencies, whether you're doing it through Metagenics individually, whether you're doing it through Fullscript, Wellevate, whatever you're doing on that part. You want to have those. Yeah.
You want to be efficient. You have to be efficient if
Yeah.
you're going to go down this road. So we've got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that we address two really important things. One, to your point, I want to continue that conversation about generating efficiency, and how you're making your decisions, and then also how you're making decisions as to what you're going to include. But Dora had a great question, and thank you, Frank, for jumping in there with this super articulate answer of what is the difference between the professional and the not. Now we can get in here and it could get super sciencey. And what I really actually want to direct the conversation to is how do you articulate it very quickly and very efficiently to a potential client so that they understand the difference and you break the Amazon habit. Because what is the benefit of having that person, the perception on the client side? Why should they change their habit and now go to Fullscript to order their supplement? And I think it's really important to get clear on the language as to why. And you could decide to expand this conversation. It could be a topic that you talk about on your social media or through your emails to really help educate people before they even walk into that consultation. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Let's start with the why, and then let's shift into some tips on making these recommendations super efficient for people.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that's really tricky about this, hearkening back to, like you find a deodorant that you think is great, and then they're sold to somebody else, and the ingredients change down the line, right? And it requires like constant checking, right? Constant evaluating the quality of the product. But for me, when I find a brand that I trust and like, and I'm familiar with them, I know what their testing practices are, I know what their quality practices are, then I have assurance in that brand that I can convey then to the client, that I know that this is a quality brand. It's not.
But Karen, what are you telling them? I'm sold on it. Please tell them.
The same thing, just in a different language, that the products on the shelf vary in quality, you know what I mean? And that I can connect them with professional grade, you know what I mean? That I know that it's going to be a clean product and it's going to deliver. So, I mean, I nuance it a bit, but essentially that's.
So you're doubling down on the quality of the product, that this is something you can guarantee, whereas the thing that was on the shelf, I can't guarantee.
Yeah,
Ashley,
it's been vetted, and I know
that?
that it's coming from a source that I trust and rely on, as opposed to even the same product, even the same brand from Amazon. Is it expired? Has it been exposed to heat? Has it been shipped in a way that's going to degrade the quality of the supplement? We don't know, but I know if I order
Right.
from the same brand from direct from the source, that it's going to be shipped to me in an ice pack if it needs to be cold, right?
Yeah, I get that question. What about this one? Do you like this brand? And I just say, I don't know. And that's my part of my spiel is I've got about 15 brands that I've vetted and 15 supplements and ingredients, well, more than 15, but 15 brands who supplement ingredients and excipients I've vetted, and I have a personal relationship with those brands like that. I can go and ask them questions and really understand, you know, how it's working. And outside of that, I ain't got time to go look at XYZ, the latest Instagram ad. I'm not looking at that stuff, but I'm going to assume that it's not going to be as high quality, or else it wouldn't be being sold as an MLM. Again, no offense to MLM peeps, but it wouldn't be being sold as an MLM. It wouldn't be being marketed in that on Amazon. They would be also selling direct to professionals. So I have a similar spiel. Ashley, do you have more to add to that?
Yeah, I think I take everything that you guys are saying. I mean, it's going to depend on the individual, but there is, so sometimes I will say, like, one of the things that I like about FullScript is they audit every brand and product that's coming in, and they also agree and present to me. It's one of the reasons they sold me that they will follow the manufacturer's storing and sourcing requirements. So like it's shipped at a certain level, it's stored at a certain level, it's distributed that way. So I think that part is really important and valuable. I will have conversations with people. Maybe some people buy their makeup, like maybe they use Beauty Counter or something. And I'll say, you know, just in the same way that Beauty Counter uses the European Union standards where there are 1,300 ingredients that are banned in the EU and only 13 banned in the US. So, you know, if you're buying your beauty care like that, I kind of look at the same thing from a supplement standpoint. And, you know, and then there's a third part to it too, which is when you work with me, I want you to be able to get the type of customer service that you expect and have experienced with me. And I provide that to you by way of FullScript so that I don't have to employ all the people that would be, you know, dealing with that. And as a result, you know, carry those costs over to you. So I think I'll have a customer service conversation. I'm also going to, though, stand up pretty boldly and say, like, I don't buy into the professional, I don't comment at all about this is a professional supplement line. You know, the sourcing of supplements and ingredients from company to company around this country in particular, but also around the world, we've created this halo with companies like a Metagenics or a Designs for Health that all of their products are better than what you will find in the drugstore. And ingredient by ingredient, many times they are and many times they're not. So I will find products in Metagenics where I'm like, WTF, fructose is the second ingredient in this digestive health product. And like, you know, let me send you into the store and I'm going to have you get such and such. Or, you know, right now, all the CoQ10 in the country comes from 2 places. Like, so what I might have you paying for is the form of the CoQ10, and I happen to know it on this part. And so really what you're asking for when you're asking for help from supplements for me is you're asking, do you want me to manage your total nutrition? If you want me to manage your total nutrition, I'm going to give you recommendations very specifically based on as many factors that I can control for. And sometimes I might say to you, if you find a better price in the store, get it on that product. But not online. Like, it's a very different, the brick and mortar versus the virtual space right now is one that you, like Costco, ridiculously strict with what they source from a supplement standpoint. So if I can get you your multi and there is a better price on Costco versus what I can offer you through FullScript, I'm going to have that conversation with you and I'm going to say, let's do that part because I'm in it to help you win it. And then let's figure out what else you need. And there may be a reason for us to do both FullScript and Costco, or actually maybe I need you to buy the skincare that I want you to buy because that's actually way more important with what we're dealing with right now than that multi, you know, or what, not more important, but that's like where the finances need to be allocated. So personal, I think a lot of these come up, but they're,
I think that's a fair point. And Patricia made that point is a lot of people have their Costco, their, you know, the one that they really like, the one that they've ordered before, whatever it is, and they want to sort of stick to it. And I think there's a balance. And one of the questions I had for Patricia was, you know, do you have another service to offer? I mean, if you are, like Ashley was just saying, if you're doing nutrition consults, fine, let them get their Costco XYZ for right now, as long as you feel like that's safe enough. and then pivot the conversation towards whatever your service is. Because at the end of the day, what's going to make or break their health goal isn't necessarily going to be the one supplement, but it's going to be that totality of everything that they're doing.
Right.
So if they're taking the very best multivitamin on this planet and they're eating garbage, that's not going to help. And that's the point you need to drive home when you're making these recommendations. It's that there is more to this than just taking, don't think that this is it. This is, you're done. You take the multivitamin, you take XYZ, whatever the next miracle cure is, right? For a while, like for example, when the ketones were really big and popular and everybody was like, everybody had a ketone du jour, right?
Yeah.
They're great. Ketones are great. Sure. Are you even eating ketogenic, bro? Like taking a bunch of ketones and then drinking some OJ afterwards. What's the point there? Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a larger, I think from there is the pivot of the conversation. Educate them about the quality, let them know what your thoughts on are that. If you do happen to get a lot of people with this one particular supplement, educate yourself about that supplement so that you know what your stance is, so you're not making a blanket statement. But know also what your end goal is with that person. Again, as we were saying before, and I love that, Ashley, that was like such a real comment there. If you really love doing supplement advice, go work for a supplement company.
Do it.
But if you're here to build your
good
business,
money, great jobs, yeah, you'll kill it.
Yeah. You're awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Do it. Go for it. But if
They'll
you're
offer you
here
healthcare,
to build your practice, yeah, accurate, all those things, right?
Yeah.
You'll get great colleagues. It'll be fantastic. But if what you want to do is offer services and build your business, then think about what services you want to offer. And the supplement piece should be an addition to and a way to get to that, but not the thing, not the big thing that you're offering. And it's not the star of the show. Going back to, that is not the star of the show. You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a great, as we move into, and I hope all of you have signed up for Virtual Business School because we're closing the registration because we are, it's great. I'm so excited, but I want to get working on everybody's stuff for tomorrow. But that is a great way to think about it because you got to know your strategy. So this whole supplement conversation has to be a part of your strategy and positioned in a way that allows you to then evolve. As your business evolves, your strategy may change. We didn't even get into it and we're not going to get into it. There might be a time period where you have a package, so it makes sense to private label everything for that package or, whatever you're going to do on that part, right? And what you want to do is have it built into your strategy, and selling supplements is not a strategy. That's, I think, what the key takeaway from today is. But the overall takeaway from this entire coffee series is, yay, first of all, how fun is it? Because we've loved it. But the second part is, when you're looking at your business in totality, you have to design it around you. Every aspect of your business has to market your awesomeness and celebrate you. And that's what we really wanting to be helping you with, as we've talked about, 2 weeks ago, we talked about what communications go in your sequence. How do you, when we first got together and talked, we were even just talking about social media and really how do you frame your business and how do you get clients. In all of those places, please don't lose track of you're awesome. What you have invested in yourself to be able to help others is just amazing. And that needs to be central to your business strategy as well. So I will march for that. I will tell you that.
And I want to make a comment because if you don't currently have a service to offer, if you're still in the very early stages of setting up your business, this is an awesome way to do your market research, right? Set up a few free phone calls, get yourself an automated scheduler, an Acuity, a Calendly, a whatever, and have those free consults and start doing market research. Start understanding what people are asking you. Start practicing your spiel. Start gathering data from them. Start pulling demographics. Start grabbing emails. Start doing that now, and you could potentially monetize it by selling a supplement. Somebody wants to buy a supplement from you. Awesome. If not, you got such a wealth of information one-on-one. You started to figure out what kind of person you want to work with, where you want to focus, what areas really light you up talking about. It gives you stuff to talk about on social media. I got a great question today. There's a video. There's a 5-minute video right there. I got a great question today about why I should be taking XYZ. Here, let me educate you on that. And you just got great social media stuff to post right there. So start, you know, we're not saying don't do it if you don't have a service to sell. Just want to reframe the way that you look at using and leveraging these supplement platforms and the access to these professional lots.
Perfect. 12:04. That means Sunday fun day for Rerun. He's like, even though he doesn't know it's crazy rain, but look, this dog is like, he's like, hey, by the way, guys, ready to go. Yeah.
He's very well behaved today. He's very well behaved today. You didn't have to throw things at him once, so that was great.
That was next level. And I will say, oh my gosh, like such bad dog parenting. We literally hung up the phone, went downstairs, and he had to go to the bathroom like for an hour. I was like, oh my God. It was like, not only was that like, it started out, you had to go to the bathroom, but I was feeding you to like make you shut up. And then I was like, oh, you really had to go to the bathroom. I was like, so bad. Anyway, what can we do?
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys, this has been such a fun series. I'm so grateful for all of you for joining. Grateful to have all the new friends. I want to make sure we all stay connected. So please, I'm going to leave the line open for a couple of seconds. Drop all your Instagram handles in the chat box. We'll grab those and we'll circulate them around when we follow up. I want to make sure we all stay connected. Hopefully we'll see y'all in the virtual business school starting tomorrow. Oh my God. Yeah, stay in touch. Keep us posted on what's happening. Hit me up on the DMs. And have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, y'all.
Yes.
And I'd love to add, and we'll send out a final email, but I'd love to add, if you guys, I think we've got like virtual business school definitely through May, like that's what's on the plate. But if you feel like there's value to this to continue the conversation, we'd love to know that. We'd be open to it.
Actually, Ashley, I've been thinking about not extending, but keeping the virtual coffee series and maybe revisiting it, you know, after business school is done, revisiting it for like maybe June or something like that.
Yes.
And how about we put together a little survey and we send it out to everybody, and maybe just like what we do is we just hone in on certain topics, and then we can prioritize the conversation based on the topic, and we can come up with some sort of calendar.
Yes.
What do you
Sounds
think?
awesome.
Amazing. For anyone who saw me looking down throughout this whole thing, we had so many last minute registrants for the virtual business school that it shut down our website. But it's all good. We've got everyone going. Everybody's got it fixed, whatever. If it wasn't Sunday and, you know, a little craziness. If you had any trouble, especially if you're in this group and you have any trouble accessing that or getting in, you know, definitely email us. You could respond to any of the emails that you got about virtual coffee. And we will make sure that you are in there tomorrow night, 7 p.m. But yeah, sometimes in virtual business, that's what happens. You know, it's the way we go.
Yes. Oh
Megan, can you drop the link in the chat box? Thank you. Well, she's on my mind. You're so good.
Yeah, solid. Yes.
Amazing, you guys. Well, we will wrap up. Like I said, I'll keep this line open for a couple more minutes so y'all can make sure you drop your preferred handles, social media handles in there, and we will circulate those around. We will send a follow-up email about today, and we will send a survey out for future virtual coffees, but we'll see you all in the upcoming weeks in business school.
See y'all soon.
Bye.